Welcome to MarcusG.TV. I'm Chef Marcus Guiliano. I'm a chef on a mission. Today's mission is wine. So somebody said to me the other day, Marcus, do you really believe in Wine Spectator? They are a hoax. Wine Spectator Awards are a total hoax, and you're buying into a system that isn't legitimate. Basically, your wine list is a scam. Then he told me about a 2008 experience with Robin Goldstein. So let me just, if you don't know about Wine Spectator and the Wine Spectator does awards. They award restaurants across the globe for having an outstanding wine list. There's 3 levels. The first basic level, you basically need 80 wines to fulfill that. There's not much investigation on Wine Spectator's part. I don't think there's any investigation on Wine Spectator's part. You just need 80 wines. That's the bottom line. The next award is the second tier up. You need 400 wines, and you have to provide documentation for storage space, and you really have to get much more in depth with the second award. The third award up, which is their grand award, you need, I think, 2,500 wines or 1,200 wines, some ridiculous amount of wines, and you have to prove a lot about your wine list. Okay. The wine director, you have to qualify the qualifications for everybody, the wait staff and everything. So it's a really big deal. There's only a handful of restaurants that get this award. But the basic award is given to thousands and thousands of restaurants. So this person turned me on to Robin Goldstein. Said, Marcus, you better check out the hoax that Robin Goldstein did on Wine Spectator. Now, I had not heard of this before. Supposedly in 2008, it had gotten worldwide attention. So Robert Goldstein is an American author, and I'm just going right off of Wikipedia here. You can find this all over the internet. You just type in Wine Spectator scam or Wine Spectator hoax. Robin Goldstein is an American author, and food and wine critic. He used to be. He also reviewed restaurants for Foreigners, travel magazines in Italy, Mexico, Argentina, Thailand, and Hong Kong. So he did this experiment where in 2008 he created a fictitious restaurant named, let's see, Osteria L'Intrepetito, Italian for Fearless Tavern. With the help of his friend Giuliano Stiglitz, created a fake restaurant website, a fake restaurant, fake wine list, fake menus, and submitted this to Wine Spectator and paid the $250 fee. So a lot of things people don't understand is I have to pay a $250 fee. We have an award of excellence at my restaurants. We have to pay a $250 fee to Wine Spectator to get this award. So what he did was he took the lowest. Wine Spectator also rates wines. They rate wines up to 100 points. Anything below 80 you really don't want to drink, really, basically is how it goes. It goes to 0 to 100. Most wines get 80 or plus, it seems like, because you wouldn't want to submit your wine if it was a bad wine, correct? The vineyard actually has to send their wine to Wine Spectator for them to taste. So if a vineyard has a bad year, a bad wine in general, they really know they have a bad wine, so they won't send their wines to Spectator. So when you see Spectator a lot of times, you see 75 and plus, you really don't see many under 80s. In the Spectator listing and the guide in the magazine every month. So because restaurants or vineyards want to show off what they have and they have a good vintage, bam. So they only send one wine out of maybe all of their wines they make. Or maybe they're sending all of it if it's a better vineyard, better winery. So he purposely took the lowest rated wines he could find, wines with scores of 51, 55, 60 points, where Wine Spectator had commented on these wines that it tastes like too much paint thinner in the wine. You know, undrinkable, where Wine Spectator just totally bashed these particular wines. So he took the worst wines he could find at an expensive price and put on a reserve wine list of 15 wines that had an average price of $150 a bottle for these terrible, terrible bottles. His regular wine list wasn't much better, and he submitted that with a $250 check to Wine Spectator, and Wine Spectator called him back, called a fictitious number, and announced that he was an Award of Excellence winner. And at the same time, would you like to advertise for $250? So he basically pulled a hoax on Wine Spectator. Now here is my opinion on Wine Spectator. Okay, I've had a Wine Spectator award since we've opened. It pulls a lot of business into my restaurant because a lot of people trust Wine Spectator and they go on to look at where there's an award-winning wine list. So I happen to have an award-winning wine list. However, What I do with my wine list and what he did with his wine list are totally different. What I do with my wine list and what other restaurants do is totally, totally different. There's a lot of really good wines out there right now. A lot of really good wines. So Wine Spectator, like I said in the beginning of this video, doesn't really do much on that first level. They just award it based upon the quantity of wines. If you have 80 wines, this is where it's buyer beware, okay? If you have 80 wines, you can get the award. It's that simple. If you have the second tier, if you have the 2 glasses or the 3 glasses, there's much more thought, there's much more criticism going from Wine Spectator. There's much more in-depth analysis from Wine Spectator on those 2 awards. Those 2 awards are far and few in between. Okay, but back to the 80 one, if there's a 1 glass, an award of excellence, that's basically just a volume of wine. So you have to be careful as a consumer going to one of those restaurants to think that you're going to be getting a top-end wine list. You might be getting a better wine list than other restaurants, because let's face it, some restaurants only have 10, 20 wines. So if you're going to a restaurant that has 100 wines, there's got to be something you can drink, correct? That's what you would think. But it's unfortunate that a lot of these restaurants buy from big distributors that have to meet quotas and that are only just trying to, they're buying wine based upon what their big box wine salesman is selling them, based upon what quotas they have to make based upon what they're going to make more margins on. So it's really important to talk to the wine director at a restaurant of why they're choosing the wines and see if there's a theme and see what's going on. I was just at a restaurant in Boston and the theme was all American wines. And the guy had a relationship. He didn't have 80 wines. He didn't have a Wine Spectator award, but I felt the wines that he had chosen far surpassed what other restaurants in the area were offering that had the Wine Spectator award. He had, I don't know, maybe 50 or 60 in-depth wines, and they were all in kegs. They all had kegs. They were all on tap. But he had direct relationships with every single one of his producers. And he was getting, I tried 4 or 5 wines. Every one of them was phenomenal. I'd never heard of a lot of them. I'd heard of some of them, and I was like, oh wow, they'll put it in a keg. And the owner says, yes, I have a relationship with them. I've known them for years. They'll do whatever I want. I've had 4 or 5 restaurants. I've been a great fan of theirs. I've met them. I've been there. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for a wine restaurant, a wine director, somebody who's in charge of wine list, who's passionate, who knows the people, who understands. Now for us, we love organic wine. Let's face it, we're a certified green restaurant. We love organic wine. That's one of our first preferences. If it's good wine, it has to be good. It just can't be organic. It's got to be good. I like to know my wine, my owners, my winemakers. I go to extraordinary lengths to try to meet all of these people who the wines we buy. And I haven't met all of them. I've met probably 50%, 60%, but I have 300 wines. So that's a lot of people to meet. I go to a lot of tastings in New York City, so I travel for these tastings. I'm very meticulous about the wines that we pick in, and I want to get a good vibe from the owner. Okay, I go to the Bordeaux kickoff tasting every year, and I specifically ask, is your wine independently owned? Who owns this wine? If it's a bank owned or insurance owned or investment company, I walk away from it. I don't care how good the wine is. I walk away from the wine. For me, that's not what I want to participate in. I want to participate in wine that comes from individually family produced vineyards, not some big conglomerate, not some investment company in there. So that's very important for me that I know and have a relationship, and that's with our vodkas and with our whiskeys and all that kind of stuff too. I like to know that. Am I 100% perfect? No. Am I striving to be? Absolutely. So that's how I pick my wines, but you can't just trust, in my opinion, you can't just trust that first award of excellence on Wine Spectator, and Robin Goldstein proved it, that first level of Wine Spectator can indeed be a hoax. Can be a hoax. Not a hoax 100% of the time. There are some really legitimate people out there doing a great job on their wine list, so you just can't judge based upon hoax or not hoax based upon that 1 glass award, the award of excellence. But I would definitely have a conversation, if you're into wine, definitely have a conversation with the wine director, get a vibe for how they pick their wines and this and that, and look for wines that you haven't heard of. Because chances are, if you're buying your wines in a liquor store, especially in a bigger liquor store, wine shop in some states, they're buying a lot of the stuff that needs to move. So they're buying stuff, they're floor stacking it, they're buying stuff that has incentives, they're buying incentives as far as buying more cases, you get bigger discounts. Stores like to do that, like to stack 5 cases, 25 cases and get bigger discounts. A restaurant like me could never buy 25 cases. I can barely buy 5 cases of a house wine, sometimes some smaller restaurant. So that's the story with Wine Spectator. Check it out. A very, very interesting experiment that Robin Goldstein did. You know, is it all about the money sometimes? Sometimes I think it is all about the money. Is Wine Spectator my way of marketing my menu, my wine list? Well, I love to use that Award of Excellence from Wine Spectator, but it's really not, you know, what I feel is the shining star of my wine list. My shining star of my wine list is me picking out the wines and knowing the people who make the wines. I'm Chef Marcus Guiliano. Thanks for watching this video. If you like my videos, please hit like, subscribe to my channel, and definitely pass it on. Cheers.